Greetings, beloved Princeton United Methodist Church community. It's Pastor Jenny, and I'm reading today from John chapter 13, verse 1. Now, before the festival of the Passover, Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart from this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. This is the word of life. Thanks be to God. This is Holy Week. This is the week that we rehearse, we remember, we participate in, we immerse ourselves in the passion of Jesus Christ. Adam Hamilton says that this is our defining story as Christians, these stories that we have around Jesus' last few days of his earthly ministry. This past Sunday, we celebrated Palm Sunday. It was big and beautiful, and I hope you have your palms or were able to participate with us online. And this coming Sunday is Easter, and our biggest, most holy day of the year as we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. These are such big and beautiful experiences, and I want to invite you this week to find a way to participate in the Holy Week, in our Holy Week observance between these two Sundays. Now, I know that there are many reasons that we are tempted, and it makes sense in a lot of ways for us to go from Palm Sunday to Easter, but I want to invite us I know that schedule-wise, right, Sundays are the days that we typically go to church, and we have that kind of put into our rhythms and all of that. It's harder to get to church on a Thursday or Friday or Saturday or any of those other times. Our church is open all week, Monday through Saturday this week, but we have services, of course, on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But I know that schedule-wise, that's a factor. It's real. It is absolutely there. There's also an emotional piece, right? We have a tendency to want to be in the joy, in the celebration, and of course, we are created for joy. That is so much of what God wants us to experience. But the joy of Easter only truly makes sense when we are also experiencing all the other things that comprise Holy Week. I want to put this in context a little bit. In our four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, each one of them dedicates a significant portion of their writing to the events of what we call Holy Week. Somewhere between a third to a half in each of the Gospels is dedicated to the events between the triumphal entry, what we call Palm Sunday, and the resurrection, which we call Easter. And Luke in particular has, the whole movement of his gospel, because he says at one point, Jesus turned his face toward Jerusalem, meaning we're on the way. And so much is leading up to the events of this week. Jesus' teachings, Jesus' encounters with the authorities, Jesus' interactions with his disciples, the smaller group, the bigger group, and Easter makes so much less sense. There's so much more joy when we are also following Jesus, participating with Jesus in the Last Supper with his disciples in the upper room, where he also washed the feet of the disciples. This is what we celebrate on Maundy Thursday. And then after that meal, after that experience with them, Jesus went to the Garden of Gethsemane and had this deep lament and mourning for himself and for the world. It's there that he was betrayed, that he was arrested, and then we follow Jesus and the disciples through the next several hours where Jesus is put on trial, kind of. It's not something that we would think of as fair, certainly, but he was bounced around between the different authorities of the day. We follow the disciples into their own crisis moment that was in contrast with what Jesus was doing, and then we follow Jesus to the cross, and we hear his last words on Good Friday, and we experience the depth of our sorrow, the realities of our sin and our brokenness and our need for God's love. We experience the lengths that God will go to love us, to bring us into God's presence, into God's love, into God's grace, into God's kingdom. And then we sit in the emptiness of that on Holy Saturday, this space of just mourning and emptiness and waiting and being in the tomb. Now we know that the resurrection is coming, but there's something important about us kind of being in that blankness, that empty space. Then, only then do we get the resurrection and the joy of Easter morning. So I do invite you, in whatever way it works for you, maybe we'd love for you to come and participate either in our prayer time, our labyrinth walk that is available throughout the week. We do have those services that I just mentioned as well. You're welcome to come to those in person, online. All of them are available to you online, live at the times that they're advertised, but also they will be there later too. So I invite you into any of that experience. Maybe for you, it's something that might work better is just reading through the story, picking one of the Gospels and reading through the stories between the triumphal entry and the resurrection this week. Maybe it's having conversation with a friend or looking through our devotional practices that you were sent that are still available online as well, that kind of help you move through these stories, through these remembrances, through these through the depths of of Jesus' passion for us. There are many other ways that you can find to participate in this week. There are places you can go to experience the Stations of the Cross. You can find those online. We'll link something here for you to experience that. But there are places live around that you can go and find those. That's another way that you can participate. Whatever it is that you do, I know that it will be blessed and that you will be blessed by entering into the passion, the love of Jesus that God pours out to us through Jesus, through all of these acts that Jesus does for us and on our behalf through this week. I would love to see you, of course, on Easter too. And you've all received you've probably received this in the mail. This is a reminder of all of those services that I just talked about. And then you've also received either, because you were in worship, this little card that is an invitation card. You've also received it electronically. You can get this an image that's more useful to send out through text message or through social media, however it makes sense to you, to invite other people. I invite you to think about who might really need to experience the joy of the resurrection, the reminders, the pouring out of God's grace that is what we worship for, the reason that we come. Who is it in your life that really would resonate with that, and who needs to hear these life-giving words, this life-giving story, who needs a faith community to share with? So I encourage you to send an invitation, to ask somebody to join you. Also, I would ask you if you are on Facebook or Instagram, you will find on our pages there a wonderful video that William Ponder made inviting others to come and join us for the first time. And that's another way that you can share and invite people, even if you're not sure who specifically to invite. This is a fantastic way, and I can't tell you how much it helps our church community if you were to share that video on your own Facebook or Instagram pages. That helps tremendously. So that all these things, we invite you to come. We invite you to enter into the fullness of this holy week, and we invite you to invite others to do that as well. Friends, it is such a joy to be on this journey with you, even through the ups and downs and bigness of this week. It's actually one of the things I love most, is being able to be on this particular journey with you. Remember that we are enough because God is enough. We are the reason. Each of us and all of us together are the reason for Jesus, and the reason for these stories, and the reasons that God continues to pursue us and bring us back into God's joy, into God's fulfillment, fullness of life. May it be so for us this week and every week.